while back we did some destructive testing with some 5160 spring steel, and I thought, we'll do it again. This time we're going to do some destructive testing of some 15N20 high nickel hardenable steel. So we're going to do 3 pieces. We're going to do one that's annealed, one that's hardened, and one that's hardened and tempered. And then we're just going to lock it in vise and hit it with a hammer and see what the results look like. I will also mention that these 3 pieces were all cut from the same stock. So, alright, they're ready. I'm going to go ahead and pull 2 out, harden them. One's going to go in the vermiculite for annealing, and then one of the 2 that get hardened will get tempered. Vermiculite. Second one hardened. Alright, this piece is going to get tempered at about 375. Alright, we've got our 3 samples. We've got one that's annealed, hardened, and one that's hardened and tempered. And I will say that all 3 of these samples were cut from the same piece of bar stock. We'll start with the annealed, and I'm going to lock about 1/3 of it in the vise. Just tap it with a hammer and see what happens. That's about what we would expect to happen. Like I say, this is 15N20 nickel. Alright, now for the one that's been hardened and not tempered. This can be dangerous. Make sure if you decide to do this, you have some PPE on, because metal shards can go flying, cause serious injury. That snapped right off. Let's see if we can get a good image of our grain structure on here. Yeah. Alright, now here's a piece, the same stock, hardened at the same time, but tempered at about 375. Only for about 15 or 20 minutes. Was not a long tempering cycle. Alright, that took a little bit more force, but it still snapped off pretty easily. See if we can get an image of that grain structure. The camera to focus on it. Well, there's our test results. The annealed did exactly as you expect annealed steel would do. The hardened did exactly what you expect hardened steel to do. Broke really easy. I barely tapped it. The hardened and tempered also broke. Took a little bit more force, but also I'll admit that my tempering cycle was short, and for 15 and 20 might have been a little cold. I could have tempered it a little higher temperature for a little longer duration, and it might have done better. But we pretty much got the results we expected. The only surprise I seen was that the hardened and tempered was also really easy to break compared to like the 5160 spring steel, which I had the whole table rocking, hitting that with a hammer. But yep, that's what we got.